So Canada is hosting 13 World Cup matches this summer, and the question is suddenly much bigger than just soccer. Should Canadians show up, cheer, and pretend that this is just a beautiful global tournament? Or should we look at the public cost, the politics, the Trump shadow over the whole thing, and ask one very Canadian question? Are we being played here?
Because this is not about whether you love soccer. Hey, we all love a good global event. We love seeing Canada on the world stage. But here's the reality. The Parliamentary Budget Officer just confirmed the real numbers, and they are shocking. Canada is spending $1.066 billion to host 13 World Cup matches. That works out to $82 million per game. Now, you're probably wondering, what do we get back for that money? Well, the answer just might piss you right off.
Yep. So FIFA is a private organization. It owns the broadcast rights to this tournament globally. It owns every sponsorship deal. It owns the commercial branding across every venue. All of that revenue goes to FIFA. What Canada provides is the stadiums, the security, the transit, the public health infrastructure, the policing, and then the invoice arrives and it says $1.066 billion. Thank you. That's the deal. Insane, isn't it? So what are we going to do about it? That's what we're going to talk about today.
Well, first, let's be clear about what FIFA actually is, because the official pitch always sounds so generous. Tourism, business, legacy. Every one of those words is there to distract you from the actual financial agreement.
Yeah, FIFA controls what makes money. Host cities control what costs money. Everything with a FIFA logo attached to it, that revenue flows to FIFA. The public bears the cost, and the private organization captures the profit.
Toronto is hosting 6 matches. Vancouver is hosting 7. The federal government and the provinces and the cities are all involved in the funding. Federal money, provincial money, city money, all going in. And what's supposed to come back is described in terms that haven't been verified by anyone who doesn't have a financial stake in the answer.
And that matters because the public money is not magic money. When governments spend hundreds of millions on a tournament, that money is not available for other urgent things like transit, housing, healthcare, community sports. The question is not whether soccer is wonderful. The question is whether FIFA deserves priority treatment when Canadians are already being told to tighten their belts.
And what most people don't know is that Montreal saw this from a mile away. They walked away from this exact deal years ago because the financial projections didn't hold up under scrutiny. At the time, Montreal got criticized for it a lot. But looking at the $82 million per match, well, it's hard to argue with Montreal, and it's hard to argue that they made the wrong call, isn't it?
Yeah. So Canadians should not act like this tournament arrived wrapped in maple leaves and good intentions. FIFA gets the glamour, host cities get the bill, and ordinary people get told the economic benefit will somehow trickle down from a luxury hospitality tent they couldn't afford to stand near.
You got that right. But a full boycott of matches in Canada would probably hurt local workers and small businesses more than it would hurt FIFA. However, a targeted boycott of overpriced VIP packages, official FIFA events that feel more like branded shopping malls, well, that makes a lot more sense.
Now, we have to talk about the politics of it all as well. This World Cup is being co-hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the US. But the US, they're the elephant in the room here, right? And under Trump, sport has become another stage for his power grabs. The flags, the spectacle, the forced patriotism, the carefully staged tough guy theater. It's not subtle. It is nothing but a promotional platform for his mega brand.
And for Canada, that creates a sovereignty problem. We are being asked to help host a tournament attached to an American administration that has repeatedly treated us like gum on the bottom of his shoe. When Trump talks about Canada like an extension of the United States, Canadians cannot then turn around and act like shared branding is harmless.
Yeah, and this is where some people say, oh, keep politics out of sport. And hey, you know what? In a perfect world, sure, we would do that. But international sport has always been political. Who gets to host? Who gets visas? Whose anthem gets played, whose flag gets displayed, who gets excluded, and who gets protected. Politics has always been a part of it.
And then there's the visa issue. Iran's national team moved its World Cup training base from Arizona to Tijuana, Mexico after uncertainty around the U.S. visas and treatment of its delegation. So that tells you something really important. When athletes and officials are making logistical decisions around U.S. politics, the tournament is already political.
Yeah, so for ordinary Canadians, that matters because we're not just co-hosting games here. We're lending Canada's reputation to the whole event. Our image is safety, openness, stability, and welcome. And that image, it has value. And if FIFA and Washington want to borrow it, Canadians has every right to ask what we get in return besides traffic cones and a giant invoice.
But this is where we need to be very careful. A boycott that says don't watch, don't attend, and don't cheer, it may make people feel morally pure for about 6 seconds, but it will not necessarily build power. And scolding fans is usually a great way to lose the room before you've made the point.
So, the better question is not should Canada boycott the World Cup? It is what should Canadians refuse to support? And that answer, it's relatively easy. Refuse the blank check. Refuse the VIP packages. Refuse the political laundering. Refuse the idea that FIFA can privatize the profit and socialize the risk.
So what does that mean? It means the private organizations capture the money while the public takes on the cost and the headaches, and it's just not fair.
And hey, think about it. Canadians are already showing that they understand targeted pressure, right? Statistics Canada data shows Canadian travel to the United States has been in a sustained downward trend consistently. That is Canadians quietly saying, sorry, not sorry, we'll spend our money somewhere else. They looked at the political climate, the border troubles, the tariffs, the insults, the 51st state BS, and many of them simply just changed their plans. That's us using our wallets to do the talking.
That is a boycott without drama. It's people deciding their money has a passport too. And that's the point. Canadians are not against travel, sports, or international events. They are against being treated like a polite ATM with excellent scenery and watching the billionaires get the money.
So when people say a boycott never works, well, hold on, not so fast. It works when it's targeted, practical, and easy for ordinary people to understand. The travel drop shows that Canadians will change behavior when the message is clear. We're not rewarding countries, corporations, or systems that disrespect us.
And that is why the World Cup question has to be framed carefully. We want to cheer for Canada and all of the other teams from around the world. We want to support local businesses. We want to watch the matches. None of that is conflicting with holding FIFA accountable for a business model that treats public funding as the operating budget for a private commercial machine.
Canada has spent this entire year demonstrating it will not simply absorb what is placed in front of it. Trade relationships, defense procurement, investment decisions, Canadians have been drawing lines, and a lot of them.
The question is not whether to welcome the world. Canada should welcome the world. The question is whether welcoming the world requires writing FIFA a blank check and calling it patriotism.
These are two different things, and the $1.066 billion figure makes that distinction impossible to ignore.
So Canada shouldn't stage a blanket boycott of the Canadian World Cup matches, but Canadians should stage a very loud, very specific, very disciplined boycott of FIFA's excesses and their political branding and the public money silence. We need to speak out.
Listen, this should not be a guilt trip against soccer fans. It should be a pressure campaign against governments and FIFA. Show us the costs. Show us the benefits. Show us the local legacy. Show us that Canadian taxpayers are not just paying to decorate someone else's global commercial.
The World Cup can be a celebration, but celebration does not require silence. Canadians can welcome the world without surrendering their common sense at the gate. And if FIFA wants Canadia's cities, Canada's money, and Canada's reputation, then Canada should demand more than a souvenir scarf and a thank you speech.
So the question for you guys is this today. Would you boycott the official FIFA events in Canada, or do you think showing up is the better way to support Canadian soccer and local businesses? Let us know in the comments because this affects every Canadian, whether you're a soccer fan or not.
And if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and share it with a friend because that is how we get the word out to more people.
Also, don't forget to give it a hype and check out the pinned comment below for everything from the merch store to our Substack.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and we shall see you tomorrow.
Ciao for now.